Good morning and welcome back to my Potter Studio. In the last video we made slip and we applied it on top of a stencil and then removed the stencil to create a relief. In today's video I would like to share with you another way that I use the slip, and it involves applicator bottles. I use these condiment bottles, and each one of these has a different size opening, and then sometimes I even use, I believe this is a henna bottle, and it has a very large gauge needle on top of it. I know that there are tools that can be used for this type of work. I just prefer this. It's easier for me to clean out than it is for me to clean one of these out. What I'm going to be working on today is this bowl. And I want it eventually to look like it has a metal, hammered metal, riveted together, and I do all that with a carving tool and slip. So give me just a moment to get our bowl and we'll get started. Okay, threw this bowl yesterday and it's set up and trimmed and it's ready to be used. The first thing that I'm going to do when I'm designing this bowl is come up with whatever design scheme I'm going to use for it. And I'm going to, of course, use my Ticonderoga pencil, and I'm also going to use just this little circular cutter because I want it to have a circle on it somewhere. So I'm going to take the circle cutter and I'm just going to impress it into the clay. I'm not going deep because these are just outlines. And then I'm just going to start drawing where I want to go, what I want to do. They don't have to be even. It's completely up to your decision on how you want to do it. Now, it's pretty much sketched out and rough. Just getting the little pieces of clay off. And now I'm going to start working with the applicator bottles. There we go. It had a little bit of air in it. I like to set it on its side when I'm not using it so that the clay stays pretty much towards the open end of the bottle. And then I'm just going to take it doesn't have to be perfect, and I'll show you why in just a minute. Oops. Sometimes that happens. And you just come in, take it off. Slip is very forgiving. I should have put this on a bending wheel so it'd be easier for y'all to see. Maybe next time, if I remember. Now, depending on what you're doing, you might want to create with different size applicators, because that obviously will give you more or less amounts of slip. This one I like to use when I'm doing these bowls because it gives me the right amount of slip for what I would like. After you've let it set up just a little bit, I just come in with a paintbrush. It's not blending it together, but it's giving the illusion that there is depth to the piece that's not really actually there. And I'm sorry if my hand's in the way. I'm right-handed. It does make it a little bit difficult to share this. Now, when you get to your straight lines, you have to make a decision on which way you would prefer the actual illusion to go. I'm going to take these two straight lines here and I'm going to bring them in together so that becomes one piece of metal when I glaze. Now, in my mind, cleaning the excess off of this, in my mind, if this really was pieces of hammered metal that we were riveting or screwing together, they wouldn't be new pieces. So the edges not being uniform fits my thought process. You could become very precise with this. And then come in like with this piece right here and clean that up. It's completely up to you. This piece, I actually have it like one piece and coming back up towards the bottom, so I need to take this line and go towards the base of the bowl, and this line and go towards the direction that we just came from. Some of the best tools in a pottery studio were not designed for pottery. I have all different kinds of paintbrushes that I use. This paintbrush is what a painter would call a bright. It's flat. It works really well for this. So as you see, the illusion for the layers is taking shape. Slip is such a versatile form of clay. You can do just about anything with it. All right, so there's that part. I have one more section that I've created. I'm going to take this larger applicator bottle just so you can see the difference that it does with thickness. See, that goes on a lot thicker, and it all really is dictated by the nozzle of whatever applicator that you're using. These two clear bottles, I think I bought at a local grocery store in the condiment aisle. All right. They also have these little caps that fit over it, and it keeps the clay from drying out. They're absolutely fabulous. All right. You could allow this to set up just a little bit, but you have to be careful when you do that because then it loses some of its plasticity and becomes more difficult to work with. I like using it at this stage because I can make it do what I want completely. Now, if you don't like all the lines that the paintbrush creates, you can go back through and you can use your paintbrush to smooth them out, or you can let it set up and then take a really damp, almost dry sponge and just gently wipe over the texture to get rid of it. So we have the basic pattern that we're set in. Now it's time to give it one more dimension to making it look as if it's metal. And the way I do that is I have these tools that I took out of a toolbox, and they're actually like for loosening nuts. And what I'm doing is using them as a stamp. And it's going to look like this thing is attached with bolts. Another thing I like to do is, this is a golf tee, and I will use it and just impress lightly. Makes a really good circle. And then I take the end of a screwdriver and come in, and that's how I make screws. I'll do the same over here. I have a larger one so that the bolts are larger. And when I glaze these with the bolts, you can use any of the food safe glazes that are metallic. Technically you could use palladium as long as you keep it at least an inch away from the rim. You could also put a luster over a glossy glaze and it'll give you that metallic sheen. It's really completely up to you as to how you want to do it. All right, I'm going to add a row of screws right here. Throw a flathead in there with the Phillips real quick, just to make it not match so well. Okay, he is all set up and ready to dry. Turn it back over. And it really is, I mean, you choose what design you want to use, how you want your glazes to come together. I use a lot of underglazes and washes to create this technique, but I like it because it's very original and no two are exactly the same. Thank you for joining me today. If you would like to subscribe, it'd mean the world to me. Have any questions or comments, please let me know. Have a great day.